as predicted, it's raining here in Sendai. It's our first full day, and our plan is to do some indoor activities, which is perfect with the rain. It's always good to have a mix of things to do so that when it is raining you can go and hang out inside and do something interesting there. So it's about 7 o'clock in the morning. I actually slept really well last night. I woke up naturally about 5:45, right before my alarm was going to go off, and probably fell asleep around 10, I would say, last night. So a good, hopefully 8 hours of sleep. So I'm on my way. Had a decent workout this morning. They have a fitness room here. First workout in 2 weeks. Felt good. And we're just getting up and getting ready to go down for breakfast. Nicole's still in bed. I might have to drag her out. Sitting here and watching the view, I could just do that for hours and sort of whittle away the day. But we won't do that. We will get moving. All right, we have had breakfast. There was a pretty good breakfast buffet down there. I think so far that there's going to be a toss-up between the JR hotel in Sapporo and the hotel in Hakodate in terms of best breakfast. We are going to go and get a pass for the Loople Bus, which is a tourist sightseeing bus in Sendai. It's about 620 yen each, and it gives you a discount to some of the attractions like the castle grounds and the mausoleum we're going to go see. So it almost pays for itself in just the discounts. So we're going to the train station where we picked that up at a tourist information office, and we're going to go ask them a few questions, anything else we can do. And at breakfast I was looking at the newspaper and realized that we left Hokkaido just a little bit too early because they are training. A pizza outlet in Hokkaido is training reindeer to deliver pizza. I'm not BSing you. It is actually true. We're at the train station. We're just looking for a tourist information office. I think we're close now. This is a really nice station, and it's big. It's pretty big, eh?
It's huge. So much shops, so many stores selling peddling goodies, sweet goodies.
Yeah, we just walked through a section that had all kinds of different foods, and we'll probably go check it out later, see if we can find any Sendai specialties. But right now we are just trying to find tourist information because we need to get our Loople Bus pass and see if there's any other museums that will appeal to us. So far this office is eluding us, but we are following the signs. There was a sign back there that was really cool because the question mark, the dot, had Lord Date Masamune's sort of silhouette riding a horse in it. He seems to be a huge figure here, being the founder of Sendai. We found tourist information. We have a wealth of pamphlets and information, and we are heading to get the Loople Bus ticket and get on the bus and go to our first site. The information office is actually in the JR ticket office on the second floor here, if you're ever in Sendai and looking for it. Ooh, it's all decorated for Christmas in here. So you buy the Loople Bus pass either on the bus or at the bus terminal window, which is right beside the the bus stop here at Sendai Station, and that's where we're heading right now. So we're on the second floor here, and there's a pedestrian walkway out front of the station. We were on that yesterday with our big bags. Here we are. And below us are all the bus stops, the bus terminal. And we walked all the way over here and went downstairs with our big bags. So we were finding this bus and we'll be on our way. We found the bus stop window, or the bus terminal window here behind me, just beside bus stop 16, which is where the Loople Bus goes. And we bought our Loople Bus tickets, and it runs every 20 minutes here, and we're just waiting. It's going to be here in 5 minutes. And there is the Loople Bus. It's coming to get us. It doesn't look like it, but it's coming. Yeah, it came back. Sendai and its tourist information setup. I don't know exactly what to call it, but the tourist information office had a lot of really good information, as you would expect, and English-speaking person there to help us, and was just like really on the ball in terms of here's the information you need, this is what we would suggest, etc.
It's a very tourist-friendly city. We noticed that there's a lot of more foreigners wandering about than other places that we've been on
so far. And
with the
even
exception of Tokyo.
And even at the hotel, they gave us that booklet I showed you yesterday, which was really helpful. And there was somebody here at the bus stop sort of explaining some things for the Loople Bus and how it works. And it looks like she just stands there all day.
Yes, it
to
does.
help tourists.
With a big binder, and I noticed when she opened her binder, there's Korean, Chinese, English, like all these different types of languages, just ready to give out her flyers.
Yeah, so if you ever want to come to Sendai, you'll never have a problem figuring out what to do or finding help. It's really well set up. Actually, in the book, I saw that they have a hotline you can call if you need help translating anything. So I guess if you go to a store or something and they don't speak English there, you can call them up and they'll help translate for you. That's amazing. So we are going to just ride this to our first destination. Our first stop, Zuihōden Mausoleum. It's stop number 5 on the Loople Bus circuit, and we're just walking up following everyone else who got off the bus and is heading that way as well. Up this road, through a whole bunch of cedar trees. It looks really nice. The sun is out, blinding us. Now we're in the shade. The bus ride was fun.
Yes, it was.
It was fun.
It was like being in a little museum, a portable museum.
Yeah.
Cute.
They got to see some interesting old roads, some little streets.
We did.
It took us through.
We got the bus to ourselves almost.
The back bench,
yeah.
We did. And now we're heading up here towards the mausoleum. Starting to look a little less city and a little more peaceful. As we're walking up this hill towards the mausoleum, I just looked over to my left here and saw that there's a cemetery on the other side of these trees. There's a bamboo and big cedar trees and a little cemetery here. And what's pretty crazy is that tall building there. That's our hotel. That's the Westin. I think it might be the tallest building in Sendai.
I like these egg-shaped tombstones. Never seen that before.
No. There's no writing on them. Well, maybe it's on the other side. Let's go around and see. Oh, they're not full. They're cut in half.
Yeah, they're half eggs.
Oh, that's cool. Wonder how old they are. Some of them are looking a little bit fresher than others. There's a palm tree.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Alright, so we're going to keep heading up towards the mausoleum. On our way up past that little cemetery we saw, we found a temple, and there's a shrine here as well, and a huge bell tower. And it's a really neat little complex because there's also a school right here. We can hear kids singing and having class. Sounds like music class right now, actually. And I can't imagine going to school in a place like this. This is such a beautiful setting with these really beautiful Japanese gardens around the temple, and this bell, and these huge cypress trees. It's really an amazing sort of picturesque little spot.
beautiful and tranquil here. I can't believe you only took a 10-minute bus ride out of the city center to see this peaceful area.
Yeah, from like the heart of it,
Yeah.
Sendai Station, to here, you wouldn't know that was just 10 minutes away.
No, it's so tranquil.
And we're not even at the mausoleum.
No. Like this area alone could be an attraction to itself.
And could you imagine coming to school here? Like the school is
like
literally that building over there that you can see with the clock. Okay, tons of kid noises, coming out of there. So they can't believe that they just get to come to school here.
Yeah.
And it looks like people live. This is another building that's part of the temple complex. So I've taken a bunch of shots, but maybe I should just give you a little bit of an idea, an orientation. So we came in over here through this gate, through the big gate, and then it walks straight to this temple. And then to the right of the temple is this building here that looks like people may live in there. Maybe monks live there. I'm not 100% sure. And behind that, over there beside the gate, is the school. And then from to the left of the temple is a little entranceway with a shrine through the trees here. You can see the shrine. Nicole's walking towards the shrine. And then beside that is the bell tower and a parking lot beside that, a little parking lot. So people clearly drive here, come to work or live here, and that's where they park, and they get to walk through this garden with stone lanterns and little stone shrines. I'm guessing they're little stone shrines. And these stones, like these big stones you can see down this pathway here with carvings on it. There's a few of these in here. I don't think we should spend all day here. We should probably make our way to the mausoleum. We have a lot to see today. So the hill we've been walking up towards the mausoleum is called Kyogamine Hill. And that is where the mausoleum and grave sites of much of the Masamune family are. Like his Date Masamune, who was the founder of Sendai, it sounds like. He was the first feudal lord of Sendai. He's buried up here, as well as the 2nd, 3rd, 9th, and 11th feudal lords and their children. They're all up here. So I wonder where the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, for example, are buried. But unfortunately, all of this was destroyed in the war in 45, so it's all been rebuilt. But apparently it's been rebuilt as an exact replica of the original. So we are going to continue. There's Nicole way up there at the steps. But you can use a bamboo cane they provide here to help you up. So I'm going to catch up to Nicole. Look at this massive cedar, one of many in this area here, up on this hill. Big trunk. This pathway that leads up to the compound is just lined with them.
Ticket office!
First part of this complex that you visit is Date Masamune's mausoleum, and to get to it you come through this gate. Well, the gates are closed for preservation, but there's a little entranceway beside it, and that is the Nirvana gate, and it looks up these really tall, really high stone steps up to the mausoleum itself. There's a gate that you walk through, and it comes to the actual mausoleum. Okay, we're up at the mausoleum now, and it's a beautifully ornate building in a typical raised platform, sort of, with fencing around it, or a wall, I guess you would call it. Everything here was destroyed during the war, during the bombings in the war in 45, and it took them until 74 to decide to rebuild all of this stuff, reconstruct it to as exact as they could possibly do it. And there was an archaeological dig, I guess, on the mausoleum itself to check on the remains of Date Masamune, and they found them to be mostly intact. I don't know what mostly means, but mostly intact because he was buried in lime. So I guess what's that word? Exhume? They probably exhumed him, rebuilt everything, and hopefully put him back into rest.
When they exhumed him, they also found that he was buried with a bunch of treasures too that they didn't know about.
Did they say 70?
Yeah.
70 treasures? And we'll probably learn more about all of this in the museum. We just decided to come up here first in case it started to rain, and then we could hide out in the museum. Good call, Nicole. Right beside the mausoleum here is a building that houses a museum, and the original building with everything else here was burnt down during the bombings in the war, but this building was rebuilt to resemble the original building, which was used to prepare the offerings that would be placed down in front of the mausoleum. But now that building houses the museum. All right, we're in the museum. Unfortunately, inside the main hall, you're not allowed to take pictures. But here, I'll just show you this, which is in sort of like the lobby area. That is the famous armor with the crescent moon on the helmet. It's Date Masamune's samurai armor, and it's supposed to be here, so hopefully we see it. We finished the museum. It wasn't very big, it's a small exhibit, mostly showing relics from the burials of some of the feudal lords that are here. It seemed like most of, well, I shouldn't say most, the English wasn't great in there, so I don't know the exact specifics, but there was a sign that said that some of the relics there were from the second feudal lord, and some of them were from Date Masamune's burial. And there was it looked like there was a piece of his helmet, the crescent moon on the helmet, that wasn't looking in too good a shape, but they had it on display there, and they had a replica of his suit. They didn't have his actual suit. It looked pretty cool. That crescent moon is really awesome. I wonder how heavy it is, because it's big. It's really big, and you'd think that would be like just pulling your head down all the time. You must have really strong neck muscles if it was heavy. So we're going to keep going. There's a bit more to see up here before we head down and go on to the next destination. That's really cool and interesting. I wonder why they have a motorized gate here. Maybe part of this is open 24 hours and some of it is closed. I don't know. But you think they would just have a metal gate like this one right here. There's another mausoleum here of the second lord, Date Tadamune, and that was completed in 1664. Both of them destroyed in the war and reconstructed in the early 80s. Let's go take a look. Beside the mausoleums of the third and second feudal lords here are these really huge tombstones. There's one there. This is the tombstone of the 8th feudal lord. And this is the 11th feudal lord. And beside him is his wife, This was the wife of the 11th feudal lord, and she was actually born to the Date family bloodline, and she married this gentleman who became the 11th feudal lord through marriage, I suppose. And we're trying to figure out why don't they have mausoleums? Why do they only have these impressive tombstones but nowhere near a mausoleum?
I have a theory. Over here, I have a theory. This one, he died at the age of 17 and he died at the age of 30, so they weren't old enough to acquire a name for themselves, I think, and they weren't around long enough to acquire a lot of wealth like the main dude. And then she was a woman, so you know, she didn't get her own.
So you think it's somehow related to
status? Yeah, status and wealth.
That makes some sense. We'll go with that.
Always making sense here.
Well, I don't know about that. The last part of this cemetery area is a cemetery of children, it says. It seems like it's the children of the feudal lords, maybe other people of high power. And there's what, 30 graves in total here, and a whole slew of stone lanterns that have been dedicated. It's all set within these beautiful cedars. And there's a map of the little cemetery here, marking out all the graves and their locations. So yeah, it says this special cemetery was built for sons and daughters of successive feudal lords of the Sendai clan in the Edo period who passed away in their childhood. Alright, we're done this mausoleum cemetery area and we really enjoyed it. The mausoleums themselves are really beautiful, a lot of ornate decorations on them. Be interesting to have seen them, the original ones. I wonder how much different they were. They probably, I'm gonna guess they weren't quite as vibrant as they are now, unless they continually touch them up and whatnot. But the grounds and the mausoleums and walking through, and as Nicole pointed out earlier, just knowing that we're 10 minutes away from the heart of Sendai in this peaceful sort of hilltop cemetery was really a nice way to spend almost a couple hours. Yeah. I find Date Masamune fascinating because he must have had a really interesting life, because his life spanned over the edge of two periods here in Japan, the Warring years and the Edo period. The Edo period was when Tokugawa united pretty much the entire country under one rule. And before then, it sounded like there were several clans warring over Japan. And the Edo period was a long reign of strict social order and control, central control in Japan here. They really isolated themselves from the rest of the world during his reign. Before then, even Date Masamune was trying to trade with Spain. But then once the Edo period started, that would have ceased, and all contact with the outside world would have been cut off. And they would have had their, I think it was like close to 300 years in the Edo period. So yeah, he must have had a really interesting life, getting to live, you know, on the cusp of both those periods. Really fun visit. I would definitely recommend coming up here if you're ever in Sendai. What did you think?
I would think that this attraction would be a must. We haven't seen too much in Sendai, but I would guess that this, if you're going to see anything in Sendai, this would be it. It's fantastic.
So leading up to the City Museum and the castle here are two ponds. And these ponds are actually part of the original moats that helped protect this area back in the day. So this moat here, or this long pond, you can see looks kind of like a moat. I find that really interesting that there's still parts of the old moat surviving. And the other pond, which is ahead of us here, was the birthplace of figure skating in Japan. Apparently a German teacher, a German man who was here teaching in 1909 taught his students how to skate, and he taught them on this pond over here, which was another part of the moat.
Our next stop on our tour of Sendai is the Sendai City Museum, which chronicles the history of Sendai. I'm not sure how far back, but definitely during the reign of Date Masamune. So we're going to go in there and check out what it has to offer. And then right after this, we just walk up here a little bit and we get to the grounds of the old Sendai Castle, which is mostly no longer there. There's quite a few buildings there to check out still. Maybe they've been reconstructed, or I'm not exactly sure 100%, but we will check it out and show you when we get up there.
So they have 3 suits of armor here. They're really cool to see up close. I have an audio guide, that's what that is. And I was listening to the info about these suits. They weigh 20 kilos. Like, I can't imagine trying to fight and be nimble with 20 kilos weighing me down. But I don't know, I feel like maybe the ones that actually did most of the fighting didn't wear this kind of stuff, and this was reserved for the top guys, and they just sat on their horses. I don't know, it's pretty crazy. These were made with 5 plates of iron, and bullets couldn't penetrate them back in the day. But this one here would be really scary to come up against in battle. This helmet has 3-faced god helmet. It's pretty scary stuff. This exhibit in here is detailing the mission to Europe. Date Masamune sent his retainer to Europe on a mission to try and trade with Spain. So he was going to meet the King of Spain, and he also was sent to meet the Pope. Apparently he wasn't super successful in his mission, but they did return to Japan. And this is kind of neat, this painting here. This is actually a replica of the original painting, which is dated in 1615 and is in Rome. But this is apparently the oldest work depicting an actual Japanese person among all of the oil paintings in all of Japan. Thank you.
Oh, very pretty.
It's very heavy.
You can get lopsided? You gonna fall over?
Yeah.
Is it really that heavy?
Yes.
Can you imagine going to battle with that?
No.
I like the hairnet.
So the Sendai City Museum was really interesting exhibit. It went, I don't know which year, but it went far back before Date Masamune came here and really established Sendai as a city. But I am a little bit confused because I had read earlier, and I mentioned in an earlier clip, that he came here and kind of founded Sendai. But from that exhibit, it seemed like Sendai was already here. Maybe not as an official city, I'm not really sure. But in 1600 I think, or 1601, he came to Sendai and started building the castle. And we're going now to see the castle remains and build out. So in 1601 he came here and started the castle and building out the castle town, and that really laid the foundation for Sendai as it is today. They had a lot of really interesting maps in there showing the early sort of site of how they were laying out Sendai, and I found it quite interesting because it was very much a grid system back in the 1600s, and I thought that was very much a Western influence in the 1800s, but I don't know, they were doing it back then. Really interesting huge map on the wall, which was a reconstruction of a reconstruction from 1645. So first reconstruction was of an original map, and that reconstruction was made in 1645, I think it said. And it was like several tatami mats big on the wall, and it was showing all the various little towns around Sendai and all of the rice production from the various towns. I think that's how they were measured as a lord of an area, was by their rice production. And apparently Date Masamune was well respected as a leader because he had a huge rice output. So we're just coming around the back of the museum here on this pathway leading us up to the castle. I'm noticing this big stone wall, which I hope is part of the original castle grounds here. Earlier on the bus we were mentioning how amazing Sendai is in terms of tourist information, and you know, it's really easy to visit. And part of the reason is because they have tons of signs like this everywhere. Just leading up to the museum, we must have hit 5 signs that we were reading, and they all have English on them. So this one is saying that this is one of the gate stone walls. So it said that the great earthquake, the Great East Japan earthquake, this wall was deformed, and it's been damaged a little bit ever since in subsequent earthquakes in 64, 78, and 2003. So this is part of the original gate leading up to the castle. Nicole's gone ahead again, so I'm going to go catch up to her and see what we find up here in the castle grounds. Here's my cardio done for the day. Whew. If I don't have a heart attack, that was an 11 earthquake that happened. The view does not disappoint up here. The Osaki Hachiman Shrine, and it's really cool right off the bat. This was such a fun video to put together, probably my favorite so far, and that's because Sendai was such an amazing place to visit.
Sendai was so fun. I loved it there.
Yeah, we have to go back. And there was so much to do in Sendai in this one day that we had to make this video a 2-parter. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss part 2. Also hit that little notification bell so you'll get notified as soon as we put up the next video. And we have an Instagram account where you can go and get more sort of behind the scenes of what we're up to during those weeks of the video, and a blog. We maintain a blog. We try to what is that thumb doing up there? Our blog, we try to give you more details about what we've been up to in the video, because sometimes things get cut or we gloss over details, and we try and make sure that all of that is in the blog and all the locations are outlined in the blog. And give this video a thumbs up.
Finally!
Is your arm tired?
Yeah.
So that is all of that covered. So yeah, Sendai was really amazing.
Oh, the Sendai Loople, I think gets
the Loople Bus.
The Loople Bus definitely gets a special shout out. We've been to cities before where they've had a similar like a bus that takes you around, but this one was just special. This one was, I think it was clearly run by the city or by like a tourism board, and it wasn't just commercial. So the people who were running it, it just really felt like they had heart. It was really affordable. What did you say it was?
650 yen.
So they were not in it for the money.
Yeah, so you could ride it as much as you wanted for the day. It was a circuit, so there was one, like the Loople Bus was just one circuit that you could take to all the major attractions. And the pass also got you discounts at most of the attractions, so it kind of paid for itself.
Yeah. And the stations, the Loople station is right in front of the train station, so you could find it no problem. And they have little ladies that walk around with a big binder full of information in all different languages. So yeah, it was...
Highly recommend the Loople Bus.
Great experience.
And not only is the Loople Bus amazing, just tourist stuff in Sendai is amazing in general. They've really done a really good job with their tourism. All the sites have English on par, pretty much it seems, as with the Japanese. So, you know, we've been to places before where there wasn't a lot of English, and we kind of weren't sure about everything. But this really does, they do a really good job explaining pretty much everything that we visited in Sendai. So one thing that's interesting in this video, there was no food. I don't think we ate anywhere on camera in this video. Part 2 is going to have some food, but part 1 did not have any food. Yeah, there was just so much to do. Really enjoyed Sendai. So I think that'll be it for us. Until part 2, maybe we'll have some more insights for you at the end of the part 2 episode. So again, give this one a thumbs up, please, and subscribe to the channel. There'll be a subscribe button right about here when we disappear. So we'll see you next week.